he explained some things about Nigeria. Please listen, like, share, and comment to this video. Thank you.
Especially those happening. So good.
Let's see the photos.
From Britain with their Bible. From the north, they come with the Quran. From the south, they come with their Bible. Britain. These are two foreign aliens. And the most important thing that people must realize is that these are the two people conniving today to hold us down in perpetual bondage. I want every indigenous Nigerian, so to speak, to listen to me very carefully. Two people come to conquer you. Only two of them. Hausa has never moved until the Fulanis came. The very proud Habe monarchies of the Hausa kingdoms of the north. I don't think that Kanem Bono tried to expand more than it is today, the Kanem Bono Empire. And one of the reasons why I like Kanuri people, not Abakari, because Abakari was a Shua Arab, not Kanuri. A proud Kanuri man can never support evil. This is the history that some of you don't know about, that I'm telling you this evening. An average Kanuri man doesn't support oppression, does not support evil. So we should stop tagging everybody from even the Janjaweed North as Fulani, because they're not. And I'm not saying that the whole of Fulani people are bad, of course, far from it. There are sensible ones amongst them. Nobody's saying that all Fulani people are bad. Such, sweeping generalization is not very good in any intellectual discussion or debate. No, not at all. So there are bound to be one or two good people amongst them. But what we're saying is that the majority are simply awful. Awful in the sense that they came into our land from the foothills of the Futajalon. They conquered the Hausa people. They imposed their brand of, should I say, a strain of Wahhabi in their Islam, all this whole Sharia nonsense and all the rest of it. They took over the North, they took over the Hausa lands, and from there they came into the Baggy people, the Afamai, all the rest of them in the North, they took over. No problem. Somebody came from the South as well. They are called the British. A land of very immensely intelligent and conscientious people. As I keep saying all the time, Englishman in the main is a nice human being. Conscientious. They were the ones who stopped slavery. They actually had to come to Africa to stop us from selling ourselves. English people, coast of America, that said no to slavery. Slaves were running away from the South and coming to the North, where, of course, English value system predominated. They believed in freedom. But there were some pirates, so to speak, that came from England. They came from the South. The only thing that they came with their guns and their sword, they also had the Bible with them. I wouldn't call it the Bible, but I'll call it the New Testament. They brought it with them as they were coming. The same people that said to us, "Thou shalt not kill," were the ones killing us to force us to become the way they want us to become, after cutting us away as slaves for over 200 years. I want people to pay attention to this lecture this evening. Very, very critical, very, very crucial. There are two people, or there were two people that came into Nigeria. Before they came, every indigenous community were living peacefully. Nobody knew who was a minority or who was a majority, especially in the East, in Biafra land where we come from. The Igbo people never attempted to conquer the Ibibio people because they recognized that they are one, the same blood, the same family. Instead, in Bende, where I come from, we had to go and borrow, and no, we didn't say borrow, we brought in an culture, which is Okonko and Ebe. And I think in Inarochipu, we even have Ekan in Inarochipu as well. These are the things that I want people to pay very close attention to appreciate the enormity of the disaster confronting each and every one of us. The enormity of the disaster confronting each and every one of us. Because we are live and direct and the whole world is listening. The world is listening. We are live and we are direct.
For the first time in decades, the general public has been granted access to a financial opportunity that was previously available.
We are live and we are direct. Do you know that these people came? Fulanese took over the north. Britain took over the south. Lugard continued to march to the north. When Lugard met them in the north, this is something that people do not know. Lugard decided to introduce indirect rule. Do you know how and why Lugard introduced indirect rule? Because the reason why some of you, I was fascinated. I've been doing this research for years. I finished it today. I kept asking myself, why was it possible that Britain came with the Bible, told us about the love of Jesus Christ, but preferred to work with Muslims, killing Christians? I never understood it until it struck me. It was Lugard, the people that taught Lugard how to, should I say, conduct indirect rule are the Fulani people. Because the reason why Britain respects Fulani people, I wouldn't say respect, I would say admire them, is this. The Fulani people were fewer in number, but they were controlling the whole of the north. That included the Hausa people, the Wari people, the Bachama people, the Birom people, the TV, everybody's there. So Lugard kept wondering, how is it possible that a handful of people with cattle, not that they were educated, no, a handful of people with cattle, how was it possible that these people could dominate and subjugate all these large swathes of land? Then the answer came in the form of indirect rule. It was Fulani people that started indirect rule. When the Fulanis come, all they need to do is to install their emir or their, basically their emir or Sariki. No, Sariki I think is Hausa. Install their emir. Despite the fact that in a village or in a city in the north, in Hausa lands in those days, you would only find one Fulani emir and his council of about maybe 10 or a dozen Fulani people with their wives and their children. You will see them controlling millions of Hausa people. And there was no problem. Britain now said, okay, it is now possible for me to be, as Wadisi, the district commissioner at the top, I now go and appoint warrant chiefs to be reporting to me. That was why it became possible to rule Black Africa, especially West Africa, with very few white men. Indirect rule, they called it. The first people to bring in indirect rule was Fulani Janjaweed. Because you have one Fulani man as the emir controlling millions of Hausa people, and they're all loyal to him. That was how indirect rule came in. So Britain now found a natural ally in Fulani people, a natural ally. I said, okay, despite the fact that they're moving cattle from place to place, these people who are fewer in number, but can control all this amount of people, they must be very clever. And I don't blame them. That was how British and the Fulani affinity, so to speak, metamorphosed into the total conquest you're witnessing today. Now, ask yourself this question. Is there any other country in the world where what is happening today in Nigeria could be happening and that nobody's saying anything about it? Remember, I told you many years ago, and I, as I'm always very fond of repeating, I said to you that the Fulani Janjaweed, they have over $30 billion in their war chest to keep Nigeria warm for their total domination. Some of you thought I was joking. Now ask yourself this question. How come Bloomberg hasn't covered what is going on? How come CNN doesn't report the daily killings? Once in a while they say, oh, school children were abducted. After 4 or 5 hours, that news completely disappears. Have you asked yourself why Al Jazeera hasn't come to do an in-depth analysis or to investigate what is going on? Have you asked yourself why ABC, all these major global players in terms of media might and strength, why they have shunned Nigeria? Because they have been bought over. They even bought people, they not only bought over Facebook, they bought over the encryption of WhatsApp so that they can now listen to your messages when you are on WhatsApp or making a call with WhatsApp application on your smartphone. They sold it to the zoo because they have the money. $30 billion US. That is what they're using. I told you that that's what they have. Collectively, all the governors, all the ministers, they have been looting the central bank for years. Looting it for years. The money they were keeping it, of course they can buy houses in Dubai and all the rest of it. Yes. But they contribute to a fund. They contribute to a fund, what I call the fund of conquest. Because they understand one simple thing, as Britain advised them. Once you shut the ears of the world, once you suppress this news coming out of Nigeria, the world cannot do anything. Because for you to arouse the moral, the conscience of the world, they need to feed on information. Remember the Rohingya Muslims in Myanmar, if I'm not mistaken. Why was it that the whole world, including the UN, was screaming, Rohingya, Rohingya, give them freedom? Because there was a conscious decision by all the major media groups in the world. Mind you that CNN is owned by an Arab. Are you aware of that? Al Jazeera is owned by an Arab. The biggest investor into Rupert Murdoch's media empire is from Qatar. It's the Qatari royal family. In other words, Fox, Sky News, ABC in Australia, Sun newspaper in England, and all the newspapers in Rupert Murdoch's stable, Arab. The Qatari royal family are the biggest investors. These are the things that people don't actually understand. And I'm even sure, even in Facebook, I'm sure one of the biggest contributors to the fund, the hedge fund they are using to run Facebook is from the Arab world. In other words, a Muslim. They play a long-term game. They said they would take over the world. And they used to say it when we were in university, undergraduates in England. I never believed them. They said they would take it over. I said it's impossible. And now it is happening before our eyes. We are in one almighty mess. All of us, one big mess. Ask yourself this question. The Nigerian army were raping women. Biafran women, airlifted illegally from Iguacha. Took them to the north. We are raping them. They brought them to court today in chains. After raping them, Britain is saying that very thing. Germany can see it. EU can see it. UN can see it. Everybody can see it, but nobody can say anything. Have you ever wondered or asked yourself why? Now, are you telling me that you can go and take Muslim women, bring them to Owerri, put chains on them, and be getting Igbo police or military officers to be raping them every night? Believe you me, Britain will sink the entire, they will sink it. They will send their warships to sink us into oblivion. Why are these things happening to you and nobody's talking? Do you see how they cleverly managed all the years of the massacre in the Middle Belt? In Plateau states, to be precise. And now they have moved on to Benue. Do you know what emboldened them? Because of what I call media silence. This media silence is not, I wouldn't say it is conscious. What they have done is to pour in money after money, pour in money to suppress any news that will cast Fulani in a bad light. That is why anything you write castigating the zoo, Nigeria, under this Fulani regime, believe you me, Facebook will shut you down. But go back and ask yourself, did Facebook do the same thing under Jonathan? It was social media that killed Jonathan. It was social media that killed Jonathan. Now you must understand this very, very carefully. The people ruling you today are those that conquered you. One came from the Sahel, from the north. They are not Nigerians. Fulani people are not Nigerians. No, they're not. That is why you cannot find any place. I can say I am an Igbo man. I come from a place called Bende. I come from a place called Ibeko. Forget about that. Don't want my hair. Doesn't exist. It's nobody's name. I come from Isiama Faruku. I want you to tell me which land in the present day Nigeria can you say belongs to Fulani people originally. There is none. You know why? Because they are nomads. They are wandering people. Anywhere their car wants to rest, they rest there. But when Britain came in, I found out that Fulani can control millions of Hausa people. Only one Fulani man, one MA with 10 people controlling millions of people. They said, okay, what you're doing is very good. These people are very foolish. We are also going to do the same. Now, Britain introduced indirect rule. That was how they managed to, with very few officers, they managed to rule black people in Africa. I'm not blaming them. I blame our stupidity for it. Now, these are the things that you need to bear in mind. That now, this conqueror from the north, the Fulani with their cattle from the north, and this conqueror from the sea, the British, they have now combined, joined together to ensure that we are held down in perpetual bondage. That is why Britain is killing. Remember during Bacha's regime, everybody was shouting and screaming, shouting and screaming, shouting and screaming. All of a sudden, evil is happening before our eyes. Evil that is worse than under Abacha. All of them that formed Nadeko, running around under Abacha, you can see that a worse evil is happening now. It was never this bad under Abacha, never this bad under Jonathan. All of you can see with your two eyes open, yet you do nothing about it. Unbelievable. There is no place that you can say that the Fulani people come from. They've been very clever over the years. Some rapists, bandits were saying in the forest, their plan was to unleash mayhem in 2022. That was their plan, to take over our land in 2022. It was the coming of IPOB that stopped them. What we now did was to make them hurry up and do that thing that they wanted to do in 2022, to hurry up and do it now. That's what they're doing. That is why they said wherever they are is their land, because they have no land. Sokoto is not theirs. Sokoto is Gobe, is their Hausa land, not their own. Ask Fulani, where do you come from? If he says I'm from Sokoto, ask him, where does your grandfather come from? Where does your great-grandfather come from? Where does your great-great-great-grandfather come from? They will disappear. They're from Senegal or from Gambia. They are not the children of the soil. That is what Facebook doesn't want to hear. That is what our enemies do not want to hear. But that is the truth. That is, it doesn't. We are not preaching ethnic hatred for anybody. No, but that is a fact. That is a fact. And here we must preach it, and preach it uncompromisingly. There are a lot of people who are suffering and dying today, and I'm very sorry to say that school children were kidnapped. That people are dying all the way in Sokoto. Sokoto had their own share today. Bandits came. And when they asked the bandits, why are you doing what you're doing? I read an interview. They said, because we have no education. We have no future. No education and no future. Which means that you either kill them or they will continue to fight for whatever they think that they believe in. And heaven knows, because I don't. Whatever they believe in, I have no idea what it is, but it is all to try to conquer you. My appeal tonight to all the indigenous populations of Nigeria, by which I mean all the ethnic components that make up Nigeria, is this: don't allow what happened to Hausa people to happen to you, because you will lose your land, and they are not going to stop. It is in the DNA of the Janjaweed, Fulani Janjaweed, to continue to conquer people. It is in their DNA. They cannot help it. They can't help it. That is who they are. It's in their brain. Every other place they've driven them out. Ghana drove them away. Every place they have driven them out. It's only in the zoo. Why? Because Britain understands it is only in the zoo that they have a sultanate worthy of mention. It is only in the zoo that they have a sultanate worthy of mention, which is Sokoto Caliphate. That is why it is the headquarters. And that is why all of us are suffering. That is why many people will die. I'm very sorry to say, many will die until we come to our senses to realize that we have no other place, or we have no other option than to stand and to fight. The Islamic jihadists came from the Middle East, or should I say from the Sahel, and Quran. Britain came from the sea with their guns and Bible. And together today in Britain and in Fulani Janjaweedism, the Quran has now met the Bible. The Quran is married to the Bible now in the zoo. That is why you have mayhem. That is why you have a failed state. That is why you have bandits roaming about freely. That is why you have a very disheveled and very dirty-looking idiot gain national prominence. Somebody who is a bigot. Somebody who has a conquistador mentality. Abubakar Gumi, whatever his name is. These are the people now taking center stage. Miyetti Allah can come, the fourth largest terrorist group in the world, can come out in the open and tell you that they are the ones running. If you don't give us your land, we will kill you. Ask yourself this question: how did we get to where we are today? We got to where we are today because of complacency.
All right, guys, thank you very much for staying to the end of this video. You know that.
Thank you, lovers of freedom. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. It's good morning here. Thank you for listening to this video. Please like, share, and subscribe to all our videos. Like, share, and subscribe for all our videos. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you.